The coast of Maine is a wild, untamed thing. Jagged cliffs stand defiant against the relentless pounding of the Atlantic. Lighthouses, steadfast and stoic, dot the coastline, their beams piercing through the fog and darkness like beacons of hope. One such lighthouse stood perched atop a particularly treacherous section of the coast. Its white-painted stone was weathered and worn, a testament to the countless storms it had endured. For generations it had guided sailors safely to shore. Its light a welcome sight to those lost in the darkness. The cries of gulls filled the air, their calls mingling with the rhythmic crashing of the waves. High above the churning sea, in the heart of the towering lighthouse, lived Lily. With her father, the lighthouse keeper, she called this isolated tower home. Her world was one of endless skies, the ceaseless rhythm of the waves, and the comforting glow of the lantern room.
My hair is the color of spun seaweed, long and flowing, often adorned with seashells I find along the shore. My eyes, the blue of the deepest ocean depths, hold a wisdom beyond my years.
She spent her days exploring the rocky inlets and hidden coves, befriending the seabirds and collecting treasures the tide washed ashore. In the evenings, she would help her father tend to the lantern, its powerful beam slicing through the darkness. Lily loved the lighthouse, its presence a constant in her life. She cherished the memories made within its stone walls, the stories whispered by the wind that howled through its tower.
But my heart, much like the seabirds that soared above the waves, longs to explore the world beyond the horizon.
She devoured books, her imagination taking flight with tales of faraway lands and daring adventures.
I yearn for connection, for someone to share my hopes and dreams with. Someone who can see beyond the isolation of the lighthouse and appreciate the beauty of my solitary world.
One evening, as the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the choppy water, the wind picked up. It carried with it the scent of rain, heavy and metallic. The sky, once a brilliant blue, transformed into a swirling mass of grey and purple.
The barometer is falling rapidly, Lily. We're in for a rough night.
He secured the shutters, their old hinges groaning in protest against the increasing wind. Lily helped him light the lantern early, its beam a reassuring presence against the growing darkness. As the storm raged around them, the lighthouse stood firm, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. Waves crashed against the rocks below, sending plumes of spray high into the air. In the midst of the tempest, a ship, caught in the storm's fury, appeared on the horizon. The ship, a battered schooner, was tossed about like a toy boat in a bathtub. Its sails, shredded by the wind, hung limply from the masts. Lily and her father watched in horror as the ship was driven closer and closer to the treacherous rocks that lined the shore.
Oh no, look at that ship, Father. It's getting too close to the rocks.
Suddenly, a rogue wave, larger than any Lily had ever seen, rose up from the churning sea and crashed down upon the ship, splintering its hull. Lily cried out, her heart pounding in her chest.
We have to do something. If we don't act quickly, they'll be lost.
Without hesitation, Lily's father grabbed his oilskins and sou'wester.
Signal the Coast Guard. I'm going to launch the boat.
Lily raced to the lantern room, her bare feet pounding against the cold stone steps. The storm raged for what felt like an eternity, but finally, as dawn began to break, it began to subside. The waves, which had been crashing violently against the rocks, started to calm, and the howling wind began to lose its ferocity. The wind died down, the rain slowed to a drizzle, and the first rays of sunlight peeked through the receding storm clouds. The sky, once dark and menacing, now showed hints of a new day, promising hope and renewal. Lily, exhausted but unable to sleep, watched from the lantern room as her father finally returned, his boat in tow. She had been waiting anxiously all night, her heart pounding with every gust of wind and crash of thunder.
Father, you made it back. I was so worried.
And then she saw him. Her eyes widened in surprise and curiosity. Lying unconscious in the bottom of the boat, his clothes soaked through and his dark hair plastered to his forehead, was a young man. He looked like he had been through a terrible ordeal. He was about Lily's age, with a strong jawline and a shock of unruly dark hair. Despite his bedraggled appearance, there was an undeniable strength and resilience in his features. Even in his unconscious state, there was something about him that drew her in. She felt an inexplicable connection, a sense that their fates were somehow intertwined. Lily rushed down the winding stairs to help her father carry the stranger inside. Her mind raced with questions about who he was and how he had ended up in such a dire situation. They laid him down on a cot in the Lighthouse's small living quarters, and Lily's father gently examined him. The room was filled with the scent of salt and the sound of the sea, a constant reminder of the night's events.
He has a nasty gash on his forehead and is suffering from exhaustion and exposure. But he will live. We need to keep him warm and let him rest.
It was 2 days before the young man stirred, his body slowly coming back to life after the ordeal. Lily was reading by his bedside. Her father had gone into town for supplies when his eyes fluttered open, a sign of hope after days of uncertainty. He looked around the small room, his gaze finally settling on Lily, the one constant in his blurry vision.
Where am I? He asked, confusion evident in his voice.
He rasped, his voice hoarse and weak from disuse. Lily smiled, relieved that he was awake, her heart lifting with a sense of accomplishment.
You're safe. You're in the lighthouse. My father and I found you after the storm. We've been taking care of you.
The young man's eyes widened as he remembered the storm, the terrifying feeling of the ship breaking apart beneath him, the cold water engulfing him. He struggled to sit up, wincing as pain shot through his head and body, every movement a reminder of his ordeal. Lily gently pushed him back down on the cot, her touch firm yet gentle.
Don't try to move too much. You took quite a beating. You were lucky to survive. Rest now, you need to heal.
The young man looked at her, his gaze intense, filled with gratitude and curiosity.
Thank you for saving me. I'm Henry. His voice was still weak, but his gratitude was strong.
I'm Lily, she said softly, her voice carrying a warmth that made him feel safe.
She replied, her heart pounding in her chest, a mix of relief and nervousness coursing through her. As Henry regained his strength, he told Lily and her father his story, recounting every detail with a sense of relief and gratitude. He had been on a merchant ship sailing from Boston to England when the storm hit, a tempest so fierce it seemed to tear the sky apart.
I've always dreamed of seeing the world, experiencing different cultures and meeting new people. The sea has always called to me, whispering promises of adventure.
His eyes lit up as he described the places he had been and the adventures he had experienced, each tale more captivating than the last. Lily listened intently, her heart filled with a mixture of awe and envy. She had never left her small village, and Henry's stories opened up a world she had only dreamed of.
Wow, Henry, your stories are incredible. I can't imagine seeing all those places. It must have been both terrifying and exhilarating.
Over the next few days, as Henry recuperated, he and Lily spent countless hours talking, sharing stories, and exploring the rocky coastline. They discovered hidden coves and secret paths, each new discovery bringing them closer. Henry in turn regaled her with tales of his travels, his descriptions so vivid that Lily felt as if she were right there beside him, experiencing the wonders of the world through his eyes.
I've never felt this way before. With you, I can be myself, without reservation or pretense. It's like I've found a part of me I didn't know was missing.
For the first time in her life, Lily felt truly seen, truly understood. She realized that her dreams were not just fantasies, but possibilities waiting to be explored. The day came when Henry was well enough to leave. A ship had been sent from the mainland to pick him up and take him back to Boston. As Lily helped him gather his belongings, a wave of sadness washed over her.
I don't want you to go.
They stood together on the cliffs overlooking the sea, the salty air whipping at their faces. Henry took Lily's hands in his touch sending a shiver down her spine.
Lily, these past few days have been the happiest of my life. I don't want to say goodbye.
I don't want you to go either.
Then promise me something. Promise me that you'll wait for me. Promise me that you won't forget me.
I promise.
Her voice caught in her throat as she met his gaze, her heart filled with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. Henry left with the rising tide, the ship carrying him further and further away from the lighthouse and the girl who had stolen his heart. Lily watched from the cliffs, her hand raised in farewell, until the ship was nothing more than a distant speck on the horizon. As she stood there, the wind whipping her hair around her face, Lily made a decision.
I will no longer allow myself to be bound by fear and uncertainty. I will embrace life, with all its beauty and its challenges.
She would honor the promise she had made to Henry, but she would also live her own life to the fullest. She would wait for Henry, for the day when he would return to the lighthouse and they could finally begin their adventure together. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The seasons changed, painting the landscape surrounding the lighthouse in a kaleidoscope of colors. Lily kept busy, helping her father with the upkeep of the lighthouse, exploring the coastline and reading every book she could get her hands on. But never, not even for a single day, did she forget Henry.
I think of him constantly, his smile, his laugh, the way his eyes seem to reflect the vastness of the sea.
She cherished the memories they had made together, memories that sustained her through the long days and even longer nights. Each evening, as dusk settled over the sea, Lily would climb the winding stairs to the lantern room. She would polish the lenses until they gleamed, then light the wick, sending a beam of light slicing through the darkness.